Hey everybody, this is Tom with The Board Gamer. When I say monsters, what's the first thing to come to mind? For me, it's things like Dracula, or Frankenstein's Monster, or even The Mummy. Luckily for us, we can join the world of these classics in a board game with scary good theming. Prepare to save these villagers and stop these movie monsters from taking over the village before terror grips you and you are left horrified. Horrified is a 1 to 5 player game for ages 10 and up, with the average gameplay length of 1 hour, published by Ravensburg. The object of Horrified is to work together with your fellow players to defeat any and all monsters to save the village before the terror track gets too high or the monster deck gets depleted. If either happens, the game is over and the monsters have overrun the village. This game has a difficulty setting which is determined by the number of monsters in play. For your initial game, it is recommended to play with Dracula and the creature from the Black Lagoon. Let's set up a standard 3-player game with 3 monsters. Place the board in the middle of the table. Put the terror marker on 0 in the top left corner. Shuffle and place the monster deck and perk deck near the board along with the dice. Place villagers near the board. They will come into play when drawn from the monster deck. Place all item tokens in the item bag and then draw 12 items from the bag and place them on the locations stated on the item. Place any special tokens on the board needed for the monster chosen, as well as the frenzy marker on the monster with the lowest number on the top left of the monster mat. More details on monster setups are written on the back of any monster mat. In this example, we will place the camp token on the campsite and the boat token on the monster mat due to playing with the creature from the Black Lagoon. We will also place 4 coffins, one on each of the following locations: graveyard, dungeon, crypt, and cave for Dracula. And as for the Wolfman, we will place the laboratory token on the laboratory space, as well as the cure on the flask on the right of the monster mat, and hunter emblem nearby. Finally, we will place the monsters on the board, based on monster setup. The creature starts at the lagoon, Dracula at the crypt, and Wolfman at the mansion. Now that the monsters are set up, let's move on to the players. Players may either choose at random or pick the hero they desire to play as. Place the matching player token on the space indicated on the hero badge. Then, each player should draw 1 perk card and 1 reference card. Perk cards act as free actions and can be used at any time during the game, no matter the phase or whose turn it is. However, once played, it must then be discarded. Now with setup complete, we can play around. On a player's turn, there are 2 phases: the hero phase and the monster phase. The hero phase allows you to take as many actions as indicated on the top of your badge. These actions may consist of move, which allows you to move 1 adjacent space, or if you occupy a space with any number of villagers, you may move them with you for free. Guide, which allows you to move a villager 1 space either towards or away from your adjacent space. Special action. This will allow you to perform the special action on your badge if you have one. Pickup, which allows you to pick up any number of items in your space. Share. Share allows you to give or receive any number of items from another player sharing the same space. And finally, you may either advance a monster task, for example, turning in red items totaling 6 at the crypt to destroy one of Dracula's coffins, or defeat monsters by sharing their space after their mandatory task had been completed. For example, after finding the creature from the Black Lagoon's lair, you can defeat him with one item of each color. Once a player has taken all their actions, you may move to the monster phase. The monster phase begins by drawing one card from the monster deck. At the top of the card is the number, and that indicates the number of items to remove from the bag and put onto the board. If the bag is ever empty, place all discarded items back into it and draw as needed. Moving down the card is the event. An event may be just adding a villager to the board, or may be monster specific. If the monster is not in your game or has already been defeated, ignore the event. Finally, at the bottom of the card is the monster strike zone. Here will be the monster symbols for which monsters will have an action this turn. If the symbol is a fire, that indicates the frenzied monster. If the symbol is a monster not in play, just ignore it. Next to the symbols will indicate what each monster will do. In this example, we have the mummy, who is not in play and we will ignore. The invisible man, who is also not in play, who we will ignore. And finally, the creature from the Black Lagoon. The creature will then move one space towards the closest hero and roll 2 action die. The die has 3 possible outcomes: a blank where nothing happens, an exclamation point where the monster takes its special attack listed on the right side of every monster card, or the attack symbol, which counts as 1 hit towards the hero. If hit by a monster, you may discard 1 item to ignore 1 hit. If you have no items or choose not to discard any, you will be knocked down and removed from the board until your next turn. The terror track will increase by 1. If this does not end the game, on your next turn you will begin by placing your character at the hospital. Please note, when knocked out, you do not lose any items or perk cards. Now, if a villager is defeated, they are removed from the board and the terror track goes up by 1. If a space where the monster attacks has both a player and a villager, it always attacks the player first. And if it has 2 players, it attacks the player whose turn it currently is. Or if neither player is the current player, then the current player may decide which of the players in that spot is attacked. Continue like this for each player until one of the following happens. If the terror track reaches the skull, it indicates the monster's overtaken the village by fear, which ends the game. Or until the monster deck runs out of cards, meaning you have run out of time to save the village, ending the game. Or, best case scenario, by defeating all monsters before either of the 2 previous things can occur. By defeating all the monsters, the heroes are triumphant and the village is saved. Much rejoicing will be had. Yay. And that was Horrified. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified about new videos. If you're bored now, click this for more games.